A long time ago I saw this artwork for an album titled Weather Systems. I found it very interesting, having this warped lens effect turning everything round, with a blue sky and clouds around the edges and with a forest around the globe, along with what seems to be a path in the center. The colors and just the art direction from this artwork looked incredible. I decided to give the album a listen. I know, don't judge a book by its cover, but I am a very visual person, and I normally look out for albums with cool artworks, or at least did back then. And since this one had a good artwork, then it must be a great album, right? I remember back when I listened to Weather Systems for the first time. It was literally a life-changing experience. For at least 1 or 2 weeks, I just couldn't listen to any other type of music. The production and overall mixing in this work was just completely different from everything else I had listened to at that time. It was music like I had never listened to before in my life. And even to this day, it is hard to find anything even remotely closer to the feeling and sound of this album. So, here we are, ladies and gentlemen, Weather Systems by Anathema, the album that changed my life. As I just mentioned, the sound mixing in this album is like nothing else I've ever listened to. I'm not a music expert nor anything of those sorts, so I'll do my best here to explain what I mean. The sound is clean, yet it doesn't sound superficial. The music sounds ethereal. That's the right word to be used here. There are moments that are peaceful, while there are some others that can be intense. We have a lot of acoustic guitar parts in this album, but we also have electric guitar, and at moments they both play together. Something very similar to what you can find in Opeth's music, or any other similar band. The percussions and other instruments are also great. And an aspect of this work I love a lot as well is the experimentation. Anathema is a band that started its career with death doom and evolved into a mix of progressive metal and doom metal. But in the 2000s they went a more post-metal direction. You can see that really well with We're Here Because We're Here, an album that, personally, I think it varies in quality a lot, having some really good songs while others are quite disappointing. When it comes to this album, they fully embrace the experimentation and the post-metal aspects of their sound, and personally, the work they did here is incredible. The previous release, Falling Deeper, was a little experiment into that direction they would end up with in this album. That is why Weather Systems is my favorite album of all time. It just is that great. An emotional experience. A transformation. The album starts with Untouchable Part 1 and 2. Those two are great introductions, and personally, Part 1 is my favorite song from the album. It shows you everything you should expect from the work. Emotional, peaceful, mind-clearing, an experience like none other. The emotional aspect is one of the most important things about this album for me. The music present here can touch you in ways you don't expect and change your perspective on life. That's what it did for me. The rest of the album is a journey. We have songs such as The Gathering of the Clouds, Lightning Song, Sunlight, The Storm Before the Calm, The Beginning and the End, and The Lost Child. Throughout all of these songs, we go from relaxing acoustic parts to intense and crazy fast walls of sound. The lyrics are deep and meaningful. And that's something that I value a lot in music. Just some deep meaning and significance. Why listen to something meaningless that doesn't change anything in you other than providing some background music to pass the time? Not that this type of music is bad, but I personally believe that music with a lot of meaning behind it is, by nature, much better than any music without meaning. Such as we can see with all of this artificial pop slop that comes out nowadays and gets famous among the masses. The last song in the album is Internal Landscapes. This song is a bit weird, but I like it a lot. The idea is basically that this guy died and he is now being interviewed in heaven or something like that. Maybe an angel is talking to him, or God. The matter is that the song is very peaceful and relaxing, the most one from the entire album, and also the most emotional one. Now, I'm atheist, so I obviously don't listen to gospel music, but I believe Anathema has that gospel sound to their music. Just listen to either this album or anything from We're Here Because We're Here, and you understand what I mean. Now, about the other albums, they don't sound gospel at all, especially not Serenades. That's the complete opposite. In the end, this is my verdict. The one album that changed my life the most out of all the albums I've ever listened. There are some others, such as Dope Smoker, which made me get interested in Dune, Cruelty and the Beast, which made me get into Cradle of Filth, Crusader by Saxon, which basically introduced me to heavy metal. There are some other examples. But the one album that made the most difference for me is Weather Systems. It is also my favorite album of all time, as I mentioned a few times here already. Well, too bad Anathema disbanded after releasing The Optimist. Maybe someday we'll get to hear another album that sounds just like this one. Oh, it has already been released. Daniel Kavanagh, one of the members from the original Anathema, after disbanding from that band, formed a new band named Weather Systems, and his first album was Ocean Without a Shore. The idea was to emulate the album Weather Systems and create more deep and profound music, just like how Anathema's sound was like. I listened to Ocean a few times, then stopped, listened to other music, then came back and gave it some more chances, but I got to say, the more I listened to it, the more I dislike it. Ocean definitely didn't impact me the same way as Weather Systems did. I'll admit, the first few times I listened to Ocean, I straight up disliked it. Then after some more attempts, I quite enjoyed it a lot. But then, coming back once more and listening to it once again, I started to dislike it. I feel like they try to emulate the album Weather Systems, and the passion is there, the love is there, and the emotion is definitely present in this release. But it feels superficial, just like the album's mixing. Remember when I said that Weather Systems sounded clean, yet not superficial? Well, Ocean Without a Shore sounds clean and superficial. I just don't like the mixing in this work at all. It feels too modern, too clean, too empty. And that directly impacts the emotion in the music as well. The artwork is also a callback to Weather Systems, but instead of a rounded forest, we have this rounded city, with what I presume to be the rising sun on the horizon and the dark blue clouds up above. I don't think the artwork looks bad, it just doesn't look as interesting as the one from Weather Systems. Looking back at the art, I imagine that if I lived in some sort of big city, with a large urban area and such, probably this art would be way more familiar to me, you could say. I imagine that if I lived in some apartment in a downtown or something like that, I would probably appreciate this art much more. But you know, I live in a small city with less than 150,000 people. If you go up a 5-story building on top of a hill, you can see the whole city, so I would say that I'm much more of a rural guy. I also prefer it like that. I don't intend on living in any big city ever, so with all this random nonsense said, I prefer Weather Systems artwork over Ocean Without a Shore's artwork. Talking more specifically about the music, we have some callback songs from Anathema's discography, such as Untouchable Part 3 and Are You There Part 2. These keep up that original feeling, but they're definitely not as good as the original songs were. Some of the other original songs here are Synesthesia, Do Angels Sing Like Rain, Ghost in the Machine, Still Lake, Take Me With You, and Ocean Without a Shore. But they're all also some sort of callback to a song or a piece of lyric present in something Anathema previously released. Other than the awful mixing and overall sound of the instruments, I think these songs can be quite enjoyable. So if you're an Anathema fan, you might end up enjoying this album way more than I did. The one thing I completely hate and have to complain about in this album are these voices, vocals, a cappella or whatever they're called from the song The Space Between Us. I hate this song just because of those singing people. I just don't like that at all and it really spoiled the song for me. Good thing that this is the last song from the album, so I can just stop listening to it completely instead of having to skip a song. The album Weather Systems is one of the greatest albums I've ever listened. It literally changed my life. The album Ocean Without a Shore from the band Weather Systems is not that great, though. But maybe you enjoy it more than I did. In any case, if you're interested in some nice post-metal music with a lot of emotional undertone, listen to Weather Systems. And if you like it, give a chance to Ocean. You can also give Anathema's other albums a chance, if you'd like to. In the end, the decision is yours to make. Write something in the comment section and leave a like. Subscribe for more videos like this one. Until next time.